Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. The Knicks and the Cavs are going to be going at each other in the first round, and in my opinion, the player with the biggest microscope on them is going to be RJ Barrett. Let me tell you guys why this is a make or break series for RJ Barrett. So this is RJ Barrett's fourth year in the NBA. He was the third pick in the NBA draft after Ja Morant and Zion Williamson was selected. He actually got a big extension going into this season. So the expectation going into this season was not to play as good as he played last year, but to improve upon the season that he did have last year. And in my opinion, he marginally improved this year, if at all. Let's dive into RJ Barrett's season this year. Let's analyze how he did and how he will do in this series against the Cavs and what his future will look like in a New York Knicks uniform. So this season, he started all 73 games that he appeared in. He had 34 minutes per game, and in those 34 minutes, he averaged 43% from the field, 31% from three, 49.5% from two, 74% from the free throw line, 5 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists per game, and 19.6 points per game. Virtually the same statistical output as last season with slightly better efficiency. One thing that he's doing better this season than last season is that he's using more of his physicality to get a layup and get a dunk, so his 2-point percentage is higher. But other than that, he's been virtually the same. He's listed at 6'6", 215 pounds. To me, he plays at about 225 pounds. It seems as though he did put on some functional weight and size, which is good, and that really is his main strength, is that good physical ability and agility. I'll talk a little bit about that and how it affects his defensive game positively and how he's really improved upon his defense this season, later in the season. But getting into his offensive game, man, I'm not going to lie. The very first thing that jumps out to you when watching RJ Barrett is like, damn, how is he that bad with his offhand? RJ Barrett is not good with his right hand, and where this really affects him is playmaking. Not only playmaking for himself, getting himself open shots, but playmaking for his teammates. So often will I watch RJ Barrett and his passing ability held back, not because of his basketball IQ. I think his IQ for the game is actually pretty high, and that does show up on the defensive end, but his off ball and his right hand, he just is not good at throwing passes, throwing lobs in the pick and roll with his right hand, and he's just not good at going to his right hand. It's pretty common for the Knicks this season to run a set with RJ Barrett as the primary ball handler at the very top right of the court, of the half court, and he'll go from the very right and then he'll snake all the way to his left to try to get a left hand mid-range jump shot or to get a left hand layup. He often just shies away from the right side of the court because not only is his shooting splits worse from the right side of the court, but he's just not good at passing from the right side with his right hand or just putting together dribble moves with his right hand in general. He really struggles with his shot too, and that's really the main story of RJ Barrett. He shoots 29% this season on off the dribble threes, and he shoots 34% on off the catch threes. So he's definitely a better catch and shoot shooter than he is an off ball shooter. And to me, this really does revolve around his poor mechanics. Again, like I alluded to, his mechanics on the right side of the court are just way off. And when he is centered or on the left side of the court, his jump shot and his base is actually really solid, and he has a really good release point. His hand placement looks to be solid as well. He just has a really wonky lift path oftentimes, especially on 3-point shots. If you slow down RJ Barrett's release, he'll have a weird hitch and just weird timing on his lift path, and I really do think that's why he struggles with consistency. So often will RJ Barrett get some open shots every single game. One of them will be a complete air ball, and the next one will be a swish, and then the next one will be off the backboard. Just very inconsistent shooting with RJ Barrett, and again, I do think that revolves around his wonky release. Getting into his projection for this Cavs series, where RJ Barrett will really need to excel, One is these catch and shoot threes. Like I alluded to, he's a better off the catch shooter than he is off the ball shooter. So you really need to get RJ Barrett in these catch and shoot opportunities. But where he's really going to make his money in this Cavaliers series, going up against Donovan Mitchell, and where he's really going to make his money for the rest of his career is sadly going to be on the defensive end. I know RJ Barrett was drafted to be this dominant offensive force, kind of similar to what Paolo Banchero was this season, but a more efficient version of this. I'm not sure RJ Barrett ever gets there with this crazy high efficient jump shot, but I do think he can be a really good slasher for the Knicks for the next couple of years. And I think if he gets to an adequate level with his jump shot, then offensively he's fine, but defensively is really where that versatility shows up. Again, like I alluded to earlier in the video, he's 6'6" and he's 215 pounds. Again, he plays at about 225 pounds, and that frame does him really good on defense. He has really good 1-3 switchability, and he's a above average on ball defender. But where he really improved from earlier on in his career to right now in this exact point in time is his off-ball defense. His off-ball defense is super valuable, and he really shows off his high basketball IQ in his off-ball defense. He's so good at rotating to the right man and just predicting the next rotation to hit. The story of the NBA nowadays is really driving, kicking, or just kicking to the open three-man, and it is so valuable to have an off-ball defender that's so good with his closeout speed and anticipation on three-point shots, and that's something that really does show up with RJ Barrett on tape on defense. That's something that you could tell he's been meticulously working at, and it's really come to fruition at the end of this season. And in my opinion, he's going to actually guard Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and really any player he gets matched up against pretty well, because he even has some nice size and a low center of gravity in the paint when he's facing a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", a couple inches taller than him. I'll be completely honest, I was definitely in the camp of you need to sell RJ Barrett while his value is still kind of at a deception point. What do I mean by a deception point? To me, last season going into this season, really last offseason, I think the perception around RJ Barrett was better than the player he will actually become. So I thought they should flip him for a piece like Zach LaVine, but that's revisionist history at this point. All the Knicks can do is look forward and have RJ Barrett be one of the central building blocks of this team going forward, considering they did just give him big money, and his draft value, in my opinion, or his trade value for that matter, really has not gone up and has probably gone down, not because he played worse this season, but because he's not getting that much better and he's getting older. But to me, RJ Barrett has become slightly underrated by the casual fan because of this defense, because of his slashing ability. And again, he creates open shots. The only thing missing for RJ Barrett is him straight up hitting his open shots. I think at some point in his career, he could definitely get to a league average level in terms of his mid-range jump shot and, more importantly, that three-point jump shot. Mike Talk Sports, thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comments section below who you guys have winning this Cavaliers Knicks series. So excited for this one.